Blue Ridge Mountains, boy, and the Chattahoochee, and the honeysuckle blues. Uh-oh! I am coming into the Blue Ridge Mountains, Georgia. Okay? Another one of these insane coincidences, okay? I'm probably going to do a video this afternoon when I get done. But coincidentally, I'm working in Blairsville today, okay? Blairsville is where I was in boot camp. It's far as fuck, right? It's 2 hours and a few minutes from my house. Far, far. I haven't been out here since, okay? I told the story, Blue Ridge Mountain, 15 miles. And I told the story about boot camp. And I'm out here by it, coincidentally. Some next level shit once again. I haven't been here since. Like I said, this is far as fuck. It's 2 hours from my house. There's plenty of work all around Atlanta on the outskirts. Nobody comes out this far for work. Except for these good old country boys that live out in the sticks. But guys like me used to have enough work in town. Like I said, I worked for this other guy, Mike Powell, okay, who lived a couple miles behind us now. Not very many, but this guy, Mike Powell, who I worked for, okay, this was in the time of Anthony. When I first got married, I met him, and I worked between Anthony and Mike Powell. Mike Powell was this 5'7", blonde-haired guy with a belly, kind of fat, kind of goofy looking, and he messed up his eye, right? He was doing something, bondo work in a car shop, and a spark came out and went in his eye, and he had a fake eye. He had one of those frog eyes, right? So when he look at you, literally looking, staring at the opposite direction type shit, right? So, and Mike had blonde hair, a little bit with a belly, and kind of goofy looking guy, but he was alright, right? And he had blonde hair. He was like 50 years old at the time. And I'm like 30. So I'm just trying to give you an idea in your head so you can, so you can visualize these people. So Mike, when I first met him, lived in Woodstock. When we first started working for him, he lived right next to that big church I said that done our teeth. This is beautiful out here, right? So Mike lived in Woodstock by my parents back in the day, right? Well, many years, I worked for him off and on for 10 years, over 10, almost 20, 15 years, the same as Anthony. I worked between the both of them. One run out of work, I'd go to the other one. Anthony run out of work, I'd go work with Mike. So when I first started working with Mike, he lived in Woodstock. About 7 years into the future after my work for him, he moved closer up here to Talking Rock, right? Which is far. It's like 45 minutes way out of the way. But he had this real nice house and real beautiful property. And so I didn't blame him, but so I'd have to drive to his house like almost every day. All the time I was having to drive there. So it was far as fuck, like I said. But I'm just giving you the idea of... So I worked for this guy, like I said, for over 10 years. And we did a lot of work up here, L.A.J. But I never went to Blairsville. This is the first time I'll be coming to Blairsville since boot camp. I'm probably going to go up there and do a video. So coincidentally, I'm up here headed to Blairsville. Crazy as shit, right? Just another one of these outlandish, it's a crazy coincidence. Like I said, I haven't been here since I was 22 years old. I'm going to be 49 this month. So coincidentally, or not, I'm coming up here. Crazy coincidence as well, like I said. I haven't been here since, so It's really weird, you know, but it is what it is. I hope that wasn't a cop I just passed. So, I'm up here in Blairsville to do a job, and then off to boot camp to try and find the place that I was in boot camp in. And like I said, this is another one of these mind fucks to me. It's very, you know, I don't even know how to put it into words, right? Like I said, I'm going to say it over and over again. I haven't been here since I was 22, so I'm going through a mind fuck right now. And like, thank you, God, and thank you, the universe, and all that good stuff as well. This is very strange, right? Like I said, it's 2 hours from home. I haven't been here since this. There's nothing up here, you know. A handful of people, country folk, live up here. You know, most people don't. They live closer to the city. You know, I couldn't imagine working here and having to drive 2 hours. This is 2 hours to my house, all right? I live 30 minutes from Atlanta, so this is 2.5 hours from Atlanta. This would be a hell of a drive to have to drive into town. So, a lot of crazy shit transpired through all those days and times as well. So, when I worked for him, we did a lot of work up here, right? We did a lot of work up in these mountains. There's a black mountain. We used to paint up here and build decks, and we used to stain and paint log cabins and did all this kind of work back in those days, right? So, we were always up here, and we were on this mountain one time, Black Mountain, and on the way to the job, a bear runs out in front of across the truck, right? Bear runs right out in front of me, and I literally had to slam on my brakes to not hit him. Big, huge bear. Crazy shit. We're going up to the mountain, and right as we're going up the mountain, and we're close to where we're working, we see this one house, and it's got these three dummy things of bears in their front yard, right? There's a mama bear, like maybe made out of wood and painted. There's a mama bear and 2 cubs, right? Just kind of like a nativity scene or something like that. You see what I'm saying? And I promise to God, we seen a mother and 2 cubs walk across that lawn where they had that bear nativity scene. Crazy type shit, right? That's for real. So they must have seen that the mom and the cubs or whatever, or that was had happened before. And so, like I said, I seen people had this bear and cubs props in their yard, and here come a bear and cubs. Crazy shit all up in here in the country, in the woods and stuff. We work in this one place, and what's that called? Big Canoe. And Big Canoe, you go in this private community, and it's up on a mountain. I worked there with another guy, another story, but it's all mountain and private property. And when you come in this place, it's like a resort. There's like 4 or 5 deers on the ground every morning, sitting there, and they're like people friendly. People feed them. When you drive, they don't run off. They stay there, right? In this community, because people feed them so much, called Big Canoe. One of these wild and crazy expeditions. So I used to go to Big Canoe with him a lot, right? Years later, I meet the guy Mike Adams, the guy I meet in jail, and hooks me up with a job. That job he gets me, and after he dies, is now a guy that owns his name is Tim. I work for this guy Tim, and David and Steve. And David and Steve were at the hospital with me when Mike was dead, right? Tim was the owner. Dave and Steve was the guys I worked with. Tim, the owner of the company, I used to rent that apartment in Gangland, right? That was he owned that. The guy Tim I worked for. Tim's wife and her sister owned a house on Big Canoe, right? They had family money, and they both had money. So Tim had this big house up on Big Canoe, and we used to go up there and we worked a lot up there. They got to where they were going to sell it, and before they did, we did a bunch of work on it, right? So this Big Canoe, it's far too, so we would stay there throughout the week, and this is when I just started getting heavy into shooting up. Guy Justin that I had spoke of, he was the one that taught me to shoot up. We were up on this job up in Big Canoe together. I just started getting into that shit, right? So we're up there doing dope and all that. But the job was they had this huge, enormous deck that they built onto it, right? Like an enormous deck, like a huge room with a big cathedral ceiling, right? On stilts. You see what I'm saying? It's on the side of a mountain. And this room was big enough for the entire families, all the families to meet there and get together Christmas and Thanksgiving, right? This thing could, house and, it had this table where a gazillion people could eat at, and all these places to sit and socialize, and had a hot tub, and it was just a really nice getaway. Like I said, they were selling the place, but we had to do a ton of work, so we were up there for quite a while. And going to get up there is like a straight cliff, right? All the way up is like as steep as you can go. I used to have to drop it in low gear and floor it to make it up to the top of the hill. You literally had to be hauling ass, or you wouldn't make it. You'd go backwards. See what I'm saying? It was that steep. And a part of it went around a windy curve where you couldn't see, and you had to be speeding to make it around there. It was scary, scary shit. My wife went up there with me one time. We went up there and stayed a few days, and she had to close her eyes. She was getting nauseous because I was literally having to drive like a speed racer to get to make it up there, right? And when you'd come down, your brakes be smelling. You'd kill your brakes on the way down and burn your transmission on the way up. It was that kind of a steep, crazy incline. These are just some backdrops to where I'm at. I'm close to Big Canoe, but I'm also about to be in Blairsville, where I was in boot camp, like I said. And as long as it's within reason from the job I'm doing, I'm going to go there and take some pictures. And, so you'll have to go on when I talk about stories. I've done a few. My boot camp stories are pretty crazy and out there. You should hear those. The best one that happened, the best one out of the deal, in case you haven't seen the video, is I speak of this one time you had to shave every morning, right? Every morning you'd go to chow and you would stand in line, and your bed had to be made military style, dog ears, and you had to be shaven every morning. Well, on Saturdays they were sometimes lenient, right? And depending how old you were, depending on how big or thick your beard came in, like some people didn't have to shave. Right? Like some people could not shave and get away with it because they didn't grow hair fast enough. And you got your older men that have to shave every day. It comes in thick. They walk up and down the line, and if you're not shaving and, you get written up, put in the hole, all this kind of shit, right? So this one Saturday morning, we line up for chow, and like I said, Saturday was usually not very, were less strict on the weekends. Well, this one Saturday morning, everyone was lined up for chow. They pulled everyone out of line that hadn't shaved and sent them outside in the snow with a razor and a towel, butt naked, nothing else. No shoes, socks, shirt, nothing. A towel and a razor. They had to go out barefoot and naked. The towel for their junk, the razor to use the snow to shave. They sent them outside butt naked with a towel and razor to shave in the snow. This was the type of shit that this boot camp was about. It was on some military rah type shit, right? The whole way through. So that was just one of of a bunch of shit that happened there. It was the place that I got in a fight with a gay guy butt naked the first day there, etc., etc. We're on our way there now. We're actually fairly close. Like I said, I'm just 2 hours from home. As far as fuck, you know. It's a 4-hour driving day for me. But, you know, I'll get paid rather well for it. But still, nevertheless, I'm up here in Blairsville. And like I said, I haven't been here since I was 22. So, drum roll. We're going to get a picture of this bitch. I'm going to do all I can to get out there and do a short video. So there's a guy, Mike Powell, I worked with for all these years, okay? Well, he was the one that told me about whorehouses. This guy, Mike, he had one ex-wife, and they split up. She cheated on him, yada, yada. So all these years that I worked for Mike Powell, he was single through all then, right? We'd be driving around to jobs, and he'd be showing me all these whorehouses. I didn't know it until then, but he informed me that all your spas are whorehouses, right? 9 times out of 10, they'll say day spa, it's a whorehouse. I didn't know this. He taught me that. We'd be driving all over town. He'd say, yeah, I used to go there. Yeah, I was here. Yeah, I was there. There was one right out in open, close to where we were, 92 in Canton Road in Woodstock, Marietta border. There was one right up under our nose he used to go to while we were working. I would get our check on Friday and say, I guess I'm going to go over and get a massage. So he used hookers to get laid for all those years. Well, at the bitter end now he's moved to Tennessee, okay? That's where his mom's from. So he moves up Tennessee for whatever his reason. He wants to be close to mom and his sister. And so he meets this Oriental girl online, right? Meets this chick from the Philippines. They start talking, chatting, you know. They're doing AOL or whatever, you know, they're talking on the phone every day. And he's telling me about her, talking 2 hours at a time every night. And so she's telling him about her family and all this. And her nephew Jack, right? Jack's she's told him that is her brother's kid, right? So, because he's seeing the backdrop, the pictures, he's on video with her, seeing the family and all that. And so they talked for like 2 years or something like that, a good lengthy time on the computer. Now he's going to the Philippines to marry her, right? Doesn't know this girl from Adam. He only knows as much as, that he's seen on the computer, and as much as she's let him to know and believe, right? So he goes to the Philippines, and it's dangerous there, okay? If you do or don't know, he's telling me about it. He's got to stay in a hotel. He can't stay with the family until they're married or whatever. But he's in this hotel, and he can't come out until she has somebody, like, basically almost like a bodyguard. Like, it was too dangerous for him to even walk around there. Because in these third world type places, they see us Americans, and we get kidnapped over there. This is real true shit, right? So, he's, he can't do a lot because he's worried about getting kidnapped. And he's that type of guy anyways. So, he's crept up in a hotel and marries her and gets her green papers, paperwork, whatever. That took a while, like 2 years, to get her over here legally. He marries her and had to marry her to get her over here. And so, they get married, come back here. That cost him $10,000 just to get to that point. That wasn't even all the rest of the shit. He spent a boatload of money on this girl, right? Gets her over here. Come to find out, Jack, she's been lying to him this whole time. Jack is her son that she pawns off on her family. Her brother's basically raising Jack. And she's one of those pieces of shit, don't take care of her kids. not even telling Mike that that's her kid. So he finds out Jack's really hers. As you already know what's going to happen, and if you don't, you'll soon enough know. So now he's working, and he's gone to work, and now she's on the computer, and she's looking for the next sucker. She finds a guy. Mike's out of town working. He come down here, and me and him and Manny did a job in this ritzy neighborhood that I did another big job in. Another story. The same neighborhood, coincidentally, the polo fields that I got Manny a job in, where he was, dipping on me because he was dope sick. Coincidentally, Mike calls me up and's got a job in that neighborhood too. Coincidentally, Manny's the only one around to help me. So we work again. Me and Manny work again in this neighborhood with Mike, and we're on this job. And Mike's come up here from Tennessee. He's now moved to Tennessee. He's now living in Tennessee. And we're in the middle of this job, and she calls, and then he finds out she's leaving him, and she's leaving their daughter. Now they got a 2-year-old, or maybe she was an infant there, or a year, something like that, right? She's now leaving, sticking him with their kid, and bailing out on him and their kid. So this was the type of piece of shit she was, right? So Mike, he was an asshole on a lot of notes, and some notes he was a decent person. And so he winds up, years prior, okay, there was a time when me and my wife shared the Mustang that I spoke about. She went and got. Some of these times I work with Mike. One of these times I was working late, wasn't getting off, and my wife had the car. So she comes to pick me up, and she goes to the door, and Mike tells her that I'll be there when I'm there. Doesn't invite her in. My Colin and Zach are babies pretty much, infants, and he don't even invite her in to use the bathroom, whatever. Left her sit out in the car. So this is the type of asshole he was. So we bumped heads a few times, and one time I cursed him out and got myself fired. Another story for another day. So this was the type of person he was. So, I really didn't like him through all this time. It wasn't until years later he started acting like a human being. He's a real asshole, right? So this was the backdrop. We'd keep my wife sitting out in the car waiting on me, working late at night, stupid shit, I think I got back there like 8, 9 o'clock at night, and my kids were babies, and we just used to do this bitch type shit. So there another one of these comes around, goes around, he got his, he gets her pregnant. It's no time. I think it's still a baby pretty much when she leaves him and sticks him with the kid. So he's raised his daughter by himself all this time. She's probably between 10 and 15 now. It's about that long ago, right? But he used to live up here. I'm up here in the fucking boonies. And I'm about to be in Blairsville shortly. And with any luck, we'll get a video and at least a picture of the place, a short video that I told in the stories. There was this boot camp and this baseball field and auto mechanic shop right next to it. We used to work a lot at. And with any luck, we're going to go see that right now. As a matter of fact, I'm going to find out when I get off this video. I'm going to see how far from where I'm working to where this place is. Can't be that far because Blairsville ain't that big. That's pretty much it for this one. Hope it was entertaining. I hope it wasn't too boring. I'll see you on the next one. Stay ADD. Ha ha! Crazy bitches.